Hi guys, it's Blackie for Shonan's Forge Bushcraft. Okay, this is the last installment of LandNav. Remember at the beginning I said you needed some graph paper. I showed you how to sight a compass, how to do declination, how to do map coordinates, how to shoot a bearing, back azimuth, all the basics. And it's up to you to do the dirt time and find out all the remaining details, because what I have just done is really like the high points. I've just read you the headings of the chapters, because there are so many slight little variations in there that you have to learn on your own, especially for your own locale. Like I talked about here in Alabama, my declination is only 3 degrees. It may be very severe where you live, so you need to find out what it is at your area. Find out what works for you in your area, and unfortunately that's going to require dirt time. Many people can instruct you, but only dirt time will teach you. You have to get out and make mistakes and learn from your mistakes. But here's a shortcut, a way you can practice ahead of time before you get out there, and that's taking that graph paper I talked about. Now, whatever the size is, grid graph paper you get, and that's totally up to you, and it don't really matter. You're going to assign a scale to your piece of graph paper. So you say each square equals this. Let's say each square equals 10 paces. Okay? Get you a small marker. I like to use a soup can lid and then put a nail through it. So something I can sit on the ground and press down. It's not going to blow away. It's not going to move. And that's going to be my starting point. Okay? And with my starting point right here on whatever grid that is in the middle, I'm now going to take my compass and I'm going to do a bearing. Now, for the sake of this to begin with, we're going to do the simplest. We're going to make a box. So we're going to face magnetic north, and we're going to walk 100 paces due north. If you're assigning 10 paces per, that's 10 grids up. So 10 grids straight up, like that. Okay? To the north. Now, when I get to my destination, I'm going to turn due east, facing due east. I'm going to set my compass for my new bearing, which would be 90. And I'm going to walk 100 paces that way. 100 paces due east. My heading is 90. My northern heading was 0. Okay, when I get to be 100 paces out, I'm going to turn due south, which is 180 is my compass bearing. And I'm going to walk 100 paces due south. Now I'm going to turn and face my starting point, which would be a 270, and I'm going to walk 100 paces back. Do I hit my starting point? So should I come back, and I should be, when I hit to 99, 100, I should be right there. I can look and see it's, right there. It might be here, there. Your pace will vary a little bit, but you're trying to hit that target. Well, now this is the simplest exercise of all, doing the square. Now once you get to where you're doing this and you can hit it almost every time you hit that soup can, now I want you to change it up, and I want you to make 5 random bearing changes. 5. So let's say I start out here, I go 45, then I go 180, then I go 350, then I go down to way down here 200 paces down on 180, and then try to figure out where your starting point was. Shoot your azimuth, plotting on that grid. Well, my return azimuth to my starting point should be, I'm going to make up a number here and say 47, because I've made 5 random custom changes in direction. Now, what's my azimuth to my starting point? You'll have them all marked on your map, so you should be able to line up the compass with the the map you're making, your grid, line it up and say, okay, from here to here, pointing your compass like I taught you, from your starting point to your destination, lining it up, what is that bearing? Shoot a bearing and return back to your starting point. Right there. Now, how big an area? That's up to you. I recommend it in the beginning you get out on like a football field, a park, or something like that, and keep the grid squares small. So let's say 10 paces per grid square. So you can easily mark it. Okay? And you shoot that bearing, you mark it on your grid, and you walk those 10 squares. Now you shoot your new bearing, you mark it on the grid, and you walk that. Now you shoot your new bearing and you walk it on that. And come up with some wild designs. The object of the game is get yourself turned around to where you don't know where that soup can lid is. That's the reason it's going to be a small target. Just a soup can lid about the size of the bottom of a Coke can with a nail to hold it so it don't blow away while you're gone. And you're going to come back to your target. Now you're practicing all the basic skills of land nav. You're shooting an azimuth, you're shooting a back azimuth, you're making headings, and you're making course corrections. Simple, right? Now, if you're doing it in a park, you'll come up to an obstacle, you got to go around. You can't go through the fountain, or you can't go through this area. You'll have to work around and correct on your map for your changes. So you're doing all the land navigation skills in a small. Now I can go practice it. You can practice it in a parking lot, you know, or something like that. Big rooftop on a big city, you might be able to do it on there. The point being is, you're doing all the skills. You're getting hands-on time of my starting point. Align my grid with my compass. I say my course is 100 paces, so I count grids, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and I draw the line. What is my heading? My heading is 0. I go to it. Now, my new bearing is, I'm going to go 90 degrees to the east. So I count 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I mark it. I line up and I do my compass, just like I do on the map. Okay, I line it up. My direction of travel. What is my bearing? My bearing is 90 degrees. I come up, I get on 90, I box my compass so I'm facing the right way. I sight a target in the distance and I walk my 10 paces. My 100 paces. Da 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 da. I get there. Now, realign, redo the process again. I walk to my next one. You're doing it in a small, what you'd be doing in a large, till it becomes second nature to you. That way, when you actually come out to the wilderness and you're actually out in the trees and the things like that, this part is already up here. You understand it. And you will also see your errors, because when you come back and you don't hit the soup can's 10 yards that way, you are off. You want to, ideally, your paces and everything be that whenever I go boom, boom, and stop, that soup can's within 10 feet or 5 feet right in front of me. I was dead on my bearing, I was dead on everything. If it's way over there or way over there, it means I'm not doing something correctly. And I can practice it here and now of being very precise on my bearings, so that when I make that compass turn and I look up and I pick that telephone pole on the far side of the parking lot over there, because I'm using a parking lot, and I say, okay, 100 paces on that bearing. I look at my compass, I sight, and I pace my pace. Checking my time. I hit 100. Okay, now I turn and I do each one of these steps as if I was in the middle of the wilderness and it really, really mattered. Take it seriously, because when you're out there in the real wilderness, it is serious. And that's not the time to shrug your shoulders and go, well, I don't know. Congratulations, you're lost. And that's a whole other video series. Guys, I've enjoyed making these for you. Please get a good book. Please get out and get some dirt time. Please look at lots and lots of other videos on YouTube of people who are bringing this forth. A lot of them are very, very in-depth. A lot of them are very serious. If you don't understand what you're looking at, mark it down in your land nav notebook. What is back azimuths, what is declination, what is whatever, and mark it down so that I can answer that question. After the video is over, I can go look it up. You know, what did he mean by this? And you begin to speak land nav. You begin to think land nav. So when you whip out that compass, it's not a foreign object. And you know what you're doing. Guys, I'm Blackie for Shaman's Forge Bushcraft. Wishing you safe journeys. Have a great day, guys.